It used to be newcomers who had to drive cab when they couldn't break into a profession. This man sees his dilemma as a cruel twist on that old cliche. He's a Canadian IT professional, squeezed out, he says, as foreign workers from multinational firms from India take over IT projects at major Canadian corporations.
Now, many of you might be wondering why I'm bringing this up now when it's been over 10 years since CBC covered this whole situation. Well, the fact is that because it's only gotten worse. All of this is still going on. Now, before you guys start turning this into a race thing, watch.
He doesn't want to show his face for fear of being shut out for good.
How can a person coming from the other country take over my job and they go back again? Or the work goes to them and the company says that we're saving money.
And they're not.
They're not.
He says he's driven the Indian workers to and from the airport, quietly fuming that his government would allow what he calls a big scam.
Is the dishonesty with the persons who are living here? And is the dishonesty with the companies that they are working with?
You notice something about that person? He's got an Indian accent. This isn't a race thing. This is a Canadian government selling all our jobs, turning a blind eye to the many companies that are doing it, type of thing. And again, this is still happening. There are still many articles of people being laid off and being replaced by cheaper labor, and no one is doing anything about it. It's been over 10 years, and it's only gotten worse. In fact, if you watch this whole thing, it's people of different ethnic backgrounds and nationalities that have all become Canadian making these complaints. And many of the people that they are hiring are usually lower cost and the majority of the time unqualified to do the job. Now, many of you might be wondering, why would somebody hire an unqualified worker overseas when you have a qualified worker here, even though the unqualified worker is cheaper? If the worker overseas is unqualified, how would they get the job done even if they were cheaper? Well, there's a reason why those people overseas get hired. And it goes beyond the cost of the employee.
This woman says bonuses were paid to Canadian managers who went along with the multinationals hiring foreigners over Canadians.
Yeah, because bonuses were getting paid to the managers that hired people from overseas instead of Canadians, even when the people they're hiring were unqualified. Y'all want to know how big all of this is?
It reaches far beyond RBC workers displaced by outsourcing we first told you about last month. The same thing is happening, we're told, at Manulife, Loblaw, TD, Scotiabank, CIBC, BMO, and others.
Huge, hey? Coast to coast, almost every major bank is selling our jobs overseas for bonuses for their CEOs.
A lot of you people have told the government about this.
Yes.
You've been telling them for a long time.
That's right. Yeah.
Yes.
They're speaking now because they want the jobs returned to Canadians so they can earn a good living again.
See, this is what I've been talking about. We want jobs back in Canada so we can all make a decent living again, regardless of our ethnic backgrounds. This whole panel, all these whistleblowers, were of different races. Every Canadian, regardless of our ethnic backgrounds, should be demanding this of our government and of those people who continue to do business within our country, to employ Canadians first. 10 years, this hasn't been fixed and has only gotten worse. Because instead of just IT jobs, our minimum wage jobs are also being sold overseas through the LMIA program. And now they gotta do it with our CARE aid programs. This is getting ridiculous.